Alright, our quick update. I checked 1 and 5, or 1 and 5, 2 and 6, and they're looking pretty good. Let's see, our plastic gauge, and it is right at 0.015, which is max tolerance according to the sheet. 0.008 to 0.015. So according to Ford's information from their shop manual, using plastic gauge like they say to in the shop manual, though most people probably would do it more precise with micrometers, we're looking pretty good. Just need to finish up the last 2 sets here, and then we should be able to start fitting rings and probably go ahead and put the camshaft in. It's coming together, looking good. Get ready to get the oil pump checked out, get it back on. That's all we got for the day. Well, hello again. Just an update on where we stand with everything. We have went through and checked all the bearings on all the rods, and they all fall within tolerances of the shop manual. These two probably, I think they'll be okay. Everything plastic gauged out fine. So I believe the next thing we'll be ready to do is go ahead and final install the camshaft, because I think I want to do that and put the timing chain on before I start putting the rods in. I mean, I don't think I could do it either way, but you can at least kind of see in there as you're guiding the camshaft in, and I think once you've got all these rods in the way, it's going to be a lot harder to see. So I think we should be ready to final install the cam, install the timing set, front slinger, gear. Then we can come through and install the rods and pistons. The only thing I've got left to do is final test fit all the rings. I've already got my bearings in. They're ready to go. So we just got to put rings on all these. Of course, I'll check all the rings, make sure they all fall within tolerances. Pretty much everything else I've been doing is just kind of cleanup work at the moment. I cleaned up my oil pan a little more. Got surface all nice and shiny all the way around. So that way it's ready to go on. Really hoping it'll be okay. So got a little roughed up at some point in its life. It's got a couple of pretty good dings. This was mashed in really bad. Bad enough to where I had to take this off with a wrench. And I couldn't get a socket around it because it got knocked in so bad it was up against this lip almost, which could very well mean it's probably going to leak. I hope it doesn't, but some point in its life we'll get a new one, or at least one that's not quite as beat up. But I took a hammer and hit on the inside and kind of straightened it out, so it's at least got a little more of a flat surface. If I wanted to put a socket on it, I could. I haven't put a new gasket on it yet, but those have always been plastic, and this kit actually comes with 2 copper ones for the drain plugs. I was rather impressed. I don't know if I've ever seen a copper washer for a drain plug in any other set. They normally are just plastic. So Still got freeze plugs to do, but we'll do those last, I think. This is my gasket set. I've been kind of looking through it and seeing what's all here. Make sure it looks like it's all here. And some of these, I like these. These look pretty standard for exhaust manifold gaskets. Now these ones are a layered graphite material on the intake, and I'm not sure if I've ever had a set like that before. Not sure exactly how I feel about that. Hopefully they don't leak, but normally the intakes are just a paper gasket, thick paper gasket. So I don't know. Do some thinking on that and decide what I want to do for sure. But of course it's a multi-year kit, so it's got a lot of doubles of things. Like I think this is for the later style because it's got larger coolant ports. This should be the set for mine because they're smaller. Of course, you know, you got miscellaneous gaskets that don't belong to this type of engine. Only about a half a dozen water pump gaskets to cover every different variation. Valve cover gaskets, one set, that's good. One set of oil pan head gaskets. There's your gasket for your carburetor to base, or air cleaner base, I should say. I think that should be the O-ring for the distributor, I believe. So you can see that there. Rear main, or not rear main, but rear oil pan seals. So the kit overall looks pretty good. Like I had pointed out before, not sure if it's going to pick it up, but this is the rag that I cleaned all of my rod bearings on. If I go across here, you'll see there's a pretty good sized flake. Some more flakes, some more flakes. I mean, this thing is littered with flakes all over the place. I can't stress, I haven't ever used Engine Tech before, but maybe other brands wouldn't do this, but I just don't know if it's like the cleaning process, if it's thin enough and small enough they don't think it matters. I mean, it wasn't on the bearing surface that would write on the journal, but it was on the back side of the bearing, and it was mixed in there with the oily residue to keep them, you know, keep them preserved or whatever it's for. But I would just be weary of the Engine Tech. Excuse me. Clean them off good. Make sure, because I really could see some of that stuff maybe kind of throwing off your measurements a little bit, make it seem a little too tight or something, or get in a place where it can't tighten up right. Now that I got the crankshaft off, I'm kind of looking over the heads, start cleaning on them and disassembling them, checking out the valves, and hopefully don't run into any problems there. We'll let you know. Got the oil pump tore apart, cleaned, and you know, for an OEM oil pump, you can see that 67, so that coincides with the year of the engine and vehicle, and still the original Ford oil pump. I mean, wear is really not bad. It's doesn't have any major deep grooves. It's just got regular light wear, and the gears, they're not rusty, which I figured sitting in the bottom of the pan with some water in it probably was going to be. They don't look excessively worn. You know, if I had taken this to a machine shop and was putting money into it, I would definitely probably put a new oil pump in it, but I think I'm going to give it a try. I'm just going to, and there's no, you can see the pattern, but there's no deep grooves or ridges or lines. I mean, I've seen some of these where there's a very good groove, probably because it started getting weak and starving of oil. Matched up my gaskets, and believe it or not, they actually are the right size, dang near to the inside of those. Probably the closest gasket I've seen in a while. Just got lined up there, but yeah, almost the exact same size as the gasket. It's kind of amazing. Cleaned up the original pickup tube. It looks really good. Again, if you were putting money into this and had it went to a machine shop, probably would just go ahead and replace the pickup tube. They're not real expensive. High volume oil pump, though they tell you if you do some cleaning up to the block, you really don't have to have a high flow. Standard flow would be just fine as long as you can clean up some of the galleys and stuff to help the oil flow through the block. And you know, this has got its typical wear. I don't think it's bad enough to replace at the moment. We'll just, you know, it's kind of an experiment. We'll see if this thing's gonna survive a very low dollar rebuild. You know, if I feel like it is gonna have a problem, I mean, I'm gonna try to make a little test stand to run this thing on. I got a radiator lined out. I got some steel, so hopefully I'll get to show you this thing running on a test stand. And if on that test stand I feel like there's an issue with the oil pressure, not going to be that big of a deal to be able to drop it, go ahead and replace it, and replace that shaft and the pump, and then move on from there. So, but hopefully that'll help us figure out if it's got any leaks as well. See how well I did cleaning this thing up and not sending it to the machine shop. So that's really kind of where we're at. We're just did a lot of cleaning today. I had this last bearing that I hadn't mic'd or plastic gauged the last two rods here, which was 4 and 8. Got that done today. You know, block's been clean. I've been keeping it covered. So one thing I might do is I might try to sneak the camshaft in it and maybe set it up to try to put the timing gears on it. We'll see how it goes. Still got lots of parts to clean. I'm going to change out my material in my glass cabinet. I've got glass bead, which is what I normally use for everything, and got some stuff I'd like to run through there that's not as abrasive or it's going to hurt it as much. So this is large granular soda, which I said is good for taking off rust, surface rust, probably nothing deep. But I think I'm gonna give these a whirl. Run this thing through there and see if I can clean up these ports and these valve seats and everything. And soda, they say, shouldn't cause any casting deformities. The glass bead will rough it up quite a bit. And if I was getting down in between here, probably wouldn't be a big deal with the glass bead. Inside the porch probably wouldn't be a big deal. You definitely wouldn't want to hit your mating surface for your for the cylinder head. Yeah, I don't know if that would be really good to do that with glass bead. I think that would kind of rough it up too much, and who knows, if you rough it up enough, maybe it'd seal better. Yeah, probably not. But yeah, I think it'll. We'll check it out and we'll see how well it cleans up these heads, and maybe I'll give you guys a little video and before and after that too. That's definitely something new with me. I've never shot with soda blast before, so, or soda material. But yeah, I think that's where we're at for today. We'll keep moving on, and we'll update you here whenever we got time. Thanks.